I'm gonna. Can you switch over to? Um, can you switch over to my screen? Can you see my
Yeah,
screen?
I'm on your screen right now.
And it's the trading view.
Yes.
Okay. So looking at the weekly here, I've got the Fibonacci tool pulled up, and you know, if we were to measure this coming from the top, which was 69, almost 70,
Yeah.
and measure that on to the bottom, which was about 15.6 or 15.8.
Hmm.
You can see we got a nice pullback right into, oops, I'm doing this backwards. Let's just adjust that so we can see the retracement. So if this were, for example, a bear rally, it's right at the 50% line,
Okay.
which where it potentially could fall off. The 62% line is where it could fall off and head back down. So I'd kind of expect it to top out around this level, which is almost 50.
Okay.
We've got this second layer of liquidity right at 52, and let's just see if there's like a bearish FVG on. Yeah, there is. So still looking at the weekly here. I'm gonna run an FVG from basically this bottom wick to this top wick right here. Um, that's an order block,
Okay. And
and that's
how do you determine that? Because I'm not too familiar with Mando's strategy. So how does that work?
yeah. So I'll show you. Let's start with a lower time frame, or not a lower time frame. Let's start with what happened here.
Okay.
So looking at the bottom here at 15.5.
Right. That's my minor sign of weakness. That's what I was talking
Yeah,
about with those yeah.
and you got this little double bounce. So this is where price has a lot of potential to turn around from a Wyckoff rotation range,
Hmm.
and so you know we look for other confirmations, right? So when you to spot an FVG, it's basically a three candle pattern. I'm just going to zoom in here,
Hmm.
and you're looking for like a strong sign of strength candle like this,
Okay.
and then it should be surrounded on either side by um, two smaller candles, and those candles, the wicks have not gone up into the body of this candle.
Okay.
So that means this was all buyers.
All
And
right.
what happens when, it takes institutional money to make a candle like this,
Right.
and they don't place all of their orders at once. And if enough orders start to fill, you start to get this quick rise in price,
Hmm.
which means there's still a lot of leftover orders in here. Now, if these are stop losses for longs, they're going to be buy orders, right? So if
Okay.
price comes back down into this area, it's going to hit buy orders. It's going to just naturally bounce.
Okay.
Um, now, the likelihood is this was the bottom, and there's a bunch of more buy orders in this section. And so,
Mm.
the way I mark that section, just take a rectangle. I'm going to go from the bottom, this wick here,
Yeah.
and there's not really a wick on this other candle. Um, so I'm going to measure it from wick to wick, just like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And I'm going to change this one to blue because this is a bullish FVG
All right.
fair value gap. And so I'm looking for, what we're looking for is price to come back and retest and wick into this or to get into this. It's going to hit more buy orders when it does. So you can
Okay.
see it came back down. It
Hmm.
didn't really test into it, and then it came back down. It hit the high, and it came back down again. This time it tested into the fair value gap,
Right.
and look what happened. Boom! It took
Yeah.
off.
And
Okay, so if I run
I guess it
yeah,
created another one, right? So you would have another one on top
yeah,
there.
another one, another one right here.
Okay.
So if I run a fib from, I'm going to go from the bottom here
Okay.
to the peak of this first move, which was right there. The golden zone is a 62% pullback, and the way I trade it,
Mm-hmm.
my first target is going to be the 1.272 extension. You can see that's exactly what happened. It went from 0.62, boom, 272.
Okay.
That's the first Fibonacci extension that price almost always hits. So if I'm being cautious and I don't want to hold for 100%, because 100% would be up here at 1.62,
Okay.
and that's also, maybe the second or third most common move, but that's a real strength move. If I don't want to hold through the pullback, I'll take profit right here. I'll take some off the table at 1.272.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
Oh shoot, I think I lost you again.
Oh, you lost me again?
So
Man.
we'll wait and see if he comes back on, but just to kind of finish the thought, almost a 705, but
Testing, testing,
62
one,
is
two,
perfect.
three.
There he
Yeah.
is.
Oh, you hear me?
Are you
Okay,
back in?
good. Yep.
Okay. So right before I lost you, I was asking if that made sense to you.
Yeah, it does. It does. A lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
So
interesting way. I wonder how we came up with thinking about liquidity in those zones. Because
yeah, I mean, he didn't invent it. This has been around a while, and I think it was maybe invented or used for forex because in forex you don't have a DOM, you don't have even volume bars.
yeah,
All
you
you can
have
use in forex is the candles, right?
exactly. Yeah. You get
Yeah.
something
So
like tick volume. That's like it's a form of volume, but it's not real volume because they don't have an exchange to actually track that, but they track it by I guess it's the rate of orders and how the orders are going through, so they kind of get tick volume from that.
that makes sense. Yeah. So it's a way of reading the chart, and then what Mando has done that
Mm-hmm.
that for me was a real revelation was you know using this approach. So if we want to move up to the next one, you can see there's another FVG here. There's a wick there. These two kind of doji candles,
Right.
and then waiting for that pullback. Okay, so there's our FVG, and then let's measure the next move. There's the top,
Mm-hmm.
and then this was, you can measure it from the bottom of that sign of strength candle. I usually go to the wick because to me this is the full pullback that happened.
Right.
Um, Either way, we get a 50% to a 62% pullback into a bullish FVG, and so that tells us that this has still got orders in here, and um, you can see we got another bounce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this one only went basically as high as the previous high right there. So this is actually, it went horizontal here.
Yeah.
So this is probably kind of like another mini Wyckoff, consolidation. So if I extend the FVG, which has already been tested once,
Right.
um, it gets tested again, and this time it acts as support. So
So
now, the next move we're looking at is this, and this has just been like really strong.
yeah.
So, if I treat the whole thing as one wave, and then I go to what the highest high was like right there, we got almost a 50% pullback. So, it's a pretty strong move.
Yeah.
And it went right up into the 1.62 extension, which is where we're now consolidating. So
And
to
that
me,
okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So that means that it's supposed to pull back now, right?
Well, no, not necessarily. I would kind of mark, this first horizontal as kind of like maybe the first step.
Okay.
Um, I think this would be the second step. I think we're in
So
a buy model right
so
here.
this the first horizontal, right? Is that like around that's like 50% retracement at that point, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it is.
that's retracement from because I'm trying to so the retracement is like from the selling, we're looking at a buying retracement here.
I'm not sure if I understand.
So
Um,
from the top, right, to the left, right, where we actually came down and we consolidated with those kind of narrow range candles, right? So when you
you're
say
talking about right here around the
no,
$30,000 range,
no lower where we started.
down
Yeah,
here
yeah.
at
So
15K.
from right there, what are we
Yeah.
calling a retracement? Is it buying retracement to the upside, or what is the retracement?
Okay, so there's um, let me just pull up a candle, or I'm sorry, pull up a arrow here.
Hmm.
Do one of these. So this would be the first move,
Right?
right? This would be the bottom, and then that would be the top, and then this would be the retracement there.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's
got you.
that's the low that's on the lower time frame.
Right,
So then this would be the second move, this would be the bottom, this would be the top, and then, we got an extended, consolidation.
right.
So the way I would look at it, these are lower time frame waves,
Hmm.
but if you were to take this whole, excuse me, if you were to take this whole horizontal consolidation pattern as a retracement and use that as your top, you're going to see the same ratios kind of come into play.
Okay.
If I go here from, right where price moved up,
Hmm.
there's almost a 50% retracement. It's like a 30, it's like a 40%, maybe even a 45. It's pretty close to 50%.
Okay.
It's not ideal, but when it kind of takes off like that, it implies that there's a lot of strength to the move, at least currently.
Right.
Um, so yeah, looking at, like, if we take this as the first move up, then
Hmm.
yeah, we should see some sort of retracement here.
And where should
Or
that
like
come
like
back
a
to?
spring, you know. Um,
Like on your
well,
percentages, like
let's
272
yeah,
or
let's run a Fibonacci on it. So maybe we can see. So I'm gonna take this as like this candle right here, this sign of strength, as like the breakout move,
okay,
and I'm gonna go all the way to the top right here.
right,
We would want to see something in 50 to 62%.
right, okay, okay,
So that's 37. I think 37 is totally within striking distance. It's what everyone's talking about, what everyone's expecting. Um, Now that could still just be a spring move, you know.
yeah,
But if you look at this whole thing, if you flip it the other way and you look at it on the higher time frame, and you look at this as like, here's your top, here's your bottom, here's your retracement, and then here's another move down,
hmm,
and then this is like a bearish rally.
right,
We're right at the 50%, 62% point of the bearish rally, which means we could so easily pull back.
right.
Um,
So from the both sides,
that's what's kind of,
it's looking probable for like a pullback.
I mean, considering we just swept the liquidity right here, yeah,
Hmm.
not that it won't pull back and then run higher, but I just feel like where it's at right now, this is danger zone for a pullback for sure.
All right, so let me go over to let's see here. Let me share my screen. Let's see what I'm sharing. All right, so could you see my screen?
I'm pulling it up here. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so I threw on this is the 1 hour chart and I threw on the weekly Camarillas, right? So we're in a overlapping lower value relationship. So let me just point that out. This is Camarilla R3 on the weekly.
I see it.
And this is Camarilla. Oh wait, gotta select another one. right? And that's Camarilla S3, right?
Okay.
So it's in an overlapping lower value relationship. Let me just point out where it was before previous Camarilla S3, right there. And previous, previous Camarilla R3, right? So overlapping lower value relationship. And this is kind of where, oh man, I keep forgetting to take the arrow out. So this is Camarilla S4, and that's lining up with 37,485.80. So would you say that's kind of like where you would think the retracement would be compared to like
Yeah.
how you're breaking it down?
Yeah. Yeah. It lines up perfectly
Okay.
with something in the range of 37, 36. Yeah.
Okay. Because we could get a
Yeah.
lot of
That's.
buyers right there. At
Mhm.
Camarilla S4, it's usually a support zone, so that's something to look out for. Let me see. Oh, it's also floor pivot S2
Okay.
at
So this can influence there.
37,616.31. So let's see how this opened on the week. Let me just take these off. I just want to do a little pivot analysis here
Yeah.
to see if it kind of lines up with what you're saying. With what do you call it? Is the Mando what is it
The
called?
Mando, the Mando model.
Mando model, right, right. Let's see here. Right, so this is the central pivot, and we opened this week way below the central pivot, and this is also, I know my charts are a little messy, man. Let me just make this bigger. Right, so this is the top central pivot. That's the central pivot right there, and that's the bottom central pivot up here at 45273.63, right? So I think that's also it's in a overlapping higher value relationship, right? So it's suggesting moderately bullish behavior, but we actually open below that at roughly 41,711.92, and we basically tested this first top central pivot right here at 42,889.43, and that's kind of suggesting that we should probably touch S1 at 39,530.64, because with the rejection open of the overlapping higher value relationship, we're probably looking to head lower, right, to S1. Now, if it does
Yeah.
clear above these levels here, I mean, it's Camarilla R3, so this is kind of like a golden pivot zone right here.
I see it. Yeah.
So,
So that would be a good rejection spot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
And
what is the level of that?
um, so it's 4408
40.
1.53 as the central pivot,
Okay.
44081.53, and Camarilla R3 is at 43803.09.
And is this on the week or is this on the
This
day?
this is the weekly. So on my
Okay.
1 hour chart, the Camarillas and the Coolings Camarillas, they show you the weekly pivots.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm just looking at something here. Can we switch
Yeah,
over to my screen for a second?
yeah,
Let me know if you can see it. Okay.
I can see it.
Okay. So I'm going to drop down to the 45-minute here. Um, just zoom this in. Now, because something I
I've
wanted
never
to add
actually
to.
used that time frame. Let me drop down to the 45.
Oh yeah.
This is a
It,
first for me. I've never used this time frame.
oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes into play. um, or you can see little differences,
Okay.
you know. So because I've got my iPad on right now while we're talking, so sometimes I can refer back, to the other screen.
Okay.
And something caught my eye here when we were talking about the pivots, and I think it kind of ties in with what you're saying. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this central pivot because I haven't been using that as much. And well, no, I'll leave it in because there's definitely some confluence, and price has been hugging it lately. But
Okay.
with with the floor pivots, there's like this interesting rule of thumb that if it's in a consolidation and it's bearish, it will typically avoid R1. And this is yesterday, and it will typically at least get to S1, right? It'll touch the bottom extreme.
Hmm.
That's that's exactly what happened yesterday. It never made it as high as R1, but it definitely made it as low as S1, right? You see that?
Yesterday. Yeah, it did. It did.
And S1 happens to have confluence with value area low.
We actually
So
came down to like almost S4.
yeah, yeah, it dropped pretty hard.
Yeah.
So then looking at what happened today,
Hmm.
and this would have been that big V reversal. It actually came up to R1 and it broke R1 and then it made it almost all the way to R2. So that's very bullish. Like this is now, you know, breaking out of a bullish consolidation. This kind of flipped the script where yesterday it went all the way down to, I think you said S4.
Hmm.
It never made it to R1. And then today it made it to R1 and avoided S1, right? So, we're in bullish conditions, but it kind of fell off, right? We got this faked out double top here. Um, it looks like it's going to come back down into the range. But at this point, it's kind of signaling bullish to me because it's above R1, because it made it to R1. And also, if you look at the daily pivot, you can see
Hold,
there's just tons of like respect there.
hold on one second. Your
Yeah.
your pivots are daily pivots right now, the floor pivots.
Uh-huh.
Okay, mine's which one are you using for floor pivots?
Kind of the standard one in TradingView. Um, Pivots plus alerts version 2, and then you
Oh,
can go in and you can swap out for
all right. Try
Camarillo.
this one. Try pivot boss pivots. Type in that one in the search and just mute yours for a second. Like
Okay.
hide yours for a second.
Hide hide the whole page.
No. The pivots you have on right now, just
Oh, gotcha.
mute them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
Right here.
let's see here. Search for pivot boss pivots.
Pivot boss pivots.
All right, it's gonna be the one that says Camarilla. Click on
This
that
one here.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Did not know that we had those in here.
All right, check the settings to see which ones you have as the central pivot. You could
It
hide
looks like
those H5 and H4. Those are Camarillas. So I think you could no, actually, yeah, I think those are Camarillas. No, so okay, go back to one
yeah. This
second.
is all Camarilla.
Yeah, go to inputs. I think this is the wrong one, maybe. Yeah, type in that search again, pivot boss. Wait. Hmm. It looks like the same one. Oh, wait. Um, Scroll down a little bit.
I think I lost you again.
Oh, you lost me? Damn. Can you hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're back.
All right, cool, cool. My bad. Sorry to slow us down there. I was trying to get like because I see the pivots are a little different from the ones I'm using, the floor pivots. I was trying to get the same
Oh,
one like to be in sync.
so you, yeah, because the one that you just had me open up was the Pivot Boss Camarilla.
Yeah, that's
But
only cameras.
if we're talking floor pivots, I should do, a Pivot Boss floor pivot
But it's
just to
actually the
check.
same. It's actually the same, but I think you could change it from camarillas to floor pivots.
I did
Anyway,
not see the option to do
yeah,
that.
I don't
Um,
see it either. This is strange.
let's try this one. This is an older one that I used to use. Let's get rid of that. Open interest. And also, if you're on the weekly versus the daily, that could be an issue too, or that could be why it was
Right now I'm
different.
on the I have it set as daily. So you had yours set as weekly or daily?
Daily, yeah.
Right, right. So it's set as daily because on mines I have where we didn't get to R1 yet. We kind of just failed just below R1.
Um, let me take a look here. Yeah, in this
Yes,
version, I
order book
definitely have us
imbalance
going to
40%.
R2. Let's see if I try classic. Yeah, it's the same. Classic, daily, traditional. You still there? I think we
Yeah,
lost you
yeah.
again.
You can hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not on the Camarillas, you're on the floor pivots for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
on the floor pivots. I guess never mind, I mean we can't really get them in sync. It's okay though. We'll just work off of yours. Okay.
I'm
Those are
just
the
I'm
floor
just looking
pivots.
at these are the floor pivots with the CPR. Maybe I'll just get rid of these just to make it easier. So we've got a green S1 and a red R1, and then uh, let's see if I can get rid of these. I don't even know what these are, do you?
Yeah,
You
I don't
see
know.
daily high. Okay, let's get a plots background. Let's get rid of that. Daily low, we don't want that. I mean, it's cool to have all these options, but geez.
Just gotta figure out what they are. Those other
Yeah,
ones.
seriously. Okay, um, so I have this second indicator, the floor pivot indicator on,
Yeah.
and you can see it's lining up R1 with R1
Hmm.
here. S1 is lining up as well.
Okay.
So yeah, these floor pivots are matching.
Okay. Mine's are a little different.
Are you just the anti-cooling ones, or are
No,
they
no. These are let's see here. On my indicators, it's called Let me just make sure. And it is called, wait, hold on. It's called Pivot Boss, Pivots, and Camarilla. And it's
Oh, okay,
by,
that's why. Yeah, because I mean, unless you have floor pivots turned on inside there, because otherwise you're looking at Camarilla and I'm looking at floor.
no, no, no. This is just the indicator's name, like when you're
Okay,
doing the search. But
yeah,
Pivot Boss is one word, and then Pivots and Camarilla, and it's by Nanda86. That's the one I'm
okay. Let's
using.
see if I can find that. Pivot boss, one word. You
One
said
word.
pivot boss, and then
Wait, hold on.
there it
You
is.
see that one right at the top there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Nanda 86. I have it favorited too, so it's one I've used previously, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, so that's coming up. Let's just take a look here.
Um,
I know it makes it difficult if we don't have the same
yeah.
measurements, you know. I don't know what shapes is midpoint. Okay, so maybe
You could take
inputs.
off the H4, H5. Those are the Camarillas, so you could take those off. Yeah, right there. And L3, L4, L5. Those are Camarillas.
Okay,
Yep, good to go.
all these off. A lot of options, huh?
Yeah, that's why I picked this one. This one is kind of dynamic.
So does this have the Camarilla and the regular floor pivots combined? Is that
Yeah.
what's happening? So this
So
is
yeah, you could
developing.
take those off. Those are developing. So like at the end of the day, you could actually see where the Camarillas and the floor pivots are going to be in the next session.
Oh, gotcha. That's a cool thing. I know. Was it Pivot Boss or some other author that
Yeah,
we
it's
were
Pivot
reading that was
Boss.
really into that?
It's
Pivot
Pivot
Boss, yeah.
Boss. Yeah. That's why I picked this one because it kind of lines up with his theories and stuff in the book.
Okay. So I want to leave TC, BC, and
Yeah.
pivot. And then let's just look at inputs, pivot ranges. Okay, let's see what we got.
Right. I
Okay,
think
so
you need to click on support and resistance to show R1 and S1.
okay,
So right there show support and resistance levels.
okay,
Yeah, I think that's it.
okay. And then let's go back and look at the style. Um, so I'm going to color these a different color and make them more prominent, just so we can
Okay.
see where they are. Let's let's do these as like dark purple. And then I'll do that to this one as well. Dark purple, make it bigger. Okay, that should be more visible. So that has them
So
way up here.
you muted the other one, the other floor pivots you
Yeah.
had.
Okay, I'll mute those. Let's see right here.
Right. So now, yeah, this one kind of lines up with the one I have where we just barely missed floor pivot R1 and we bounced off of the central pivot.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this one on the daily, I mean, it's kind of, this is only for today. So this is gonna change like, well, what time is it? This is gonna change in a couple hours. But that's why I was kind of looking more at like the weekly to see where we're at probably for the week.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the S1 here, just so I can see. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what you would have for
Mm-hmm.
R1 would be 434, and then S1 would be 41.4.
Yeah. So we kind of opened below the pivots. We came above the central pivot range and we hit just below R1. So
Yeah,
it's probably, I mean, for it to push up to R2 right now, it's looking like it's a little too late for that. We're already getting a pullback. So it's looking like it's
yeah.
going to come back down to the central pivot range. Now, how it opens in the next session will kind of determine, just like the prior session, what's going to actually happen, I guess. Because I guess the move for today has already happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm just running a Fibonacci on the move today, and you can see it was exactly 62% when it pulled back to the daily pivot. That
Mm-hmm.
was the 62%. And
Mm-hmm.
then it went up to 1.272, went up to the 50% extension, the 150% extension, which happened to be R1 on this calculation.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so again, it's avoided S1 and it's hit R1 or it's tapped very close to it. So that's pretty
Right.
bullish.
Right.
Doesn't mean it won't pull back, like you said, to the daily pivot and pull back to the IB range.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it could pull all the way back to IB low and still be bullish, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
And if
Uh,
we're looking at the Camarillas were also in a it's a lower value relationship today. And
yeah,
this is a real rejection of that because we're above Camarilla R4. We're up to like Camarilla R6, I believe. We actually broke above that. So it's a big rejection of that short trade. So
yeah.
I don't know, probably continuation because if we're working off of the weekly chart where we're looking for now a uptrend to create a uptrust, then this could probably go further a lot further, you know.
Like up to the, 44 structure high.
Probably even beyond that, you know.
Yeah. Um, Let me get your opinion on this.
Hmm.
So, looking at this horizontal structure that's been happening, and maybe if you can close out your pivots.
Hmm.
So if we were to, so if we were to run a Wyckoff, you know, um, rotation structure on this, starting from that big dip, that big yellow dip candle that you have it marked as the automatic reaction.
Yeah, that's on the daily. Yeah.
Um, so that would be, you know, that's a selling climax, correct? And then followed by an automatic reaction.
Um, that's the thing. It's the automatic reaction is looking really, really weak.
Yeah,
Um, this is
I see what you're
something
saying.
that
Yeah.
really kind of confused me with this structure, right? Like if it's reaccumulation, that's why I was leaning towards this is actual like a redistribution structure because the weakness of the automatic rally was kind of because if we're looking at okay from where we dropped
Mhm.
right around let's say 45,423, right?
Yeah.
This is a big drop here, and all we got in the bounce was like, what's the fibs on that? We get like can you do a fib on that?
Sure. Yeah. You want to flip over to my chart?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay. So I'm gonna close out these pivots for now
Yeah.
and make sure that's all okay. So just going off of what you were talking about here, we had this big drop,
Mm-hmm.
and then to me, this would have been like the last point of, um, I
That's
guess would be
like
supply or last
that's the preliminary stop. That area right
preliminary
there
stop.
at the
Exactly.
bottom right there
Preliminary
is the
stop.
preliminary
Yeah.
stop. And then we
So
have the
then,
selling climax with the final drop there.
yeah, and you see the big volume spike. So that's the selling climax. And
Right.
then this is the automatic reaction, correct?
Right. So I would put that at the top of the structure for the automatic reaction because that little pullback there, all of that is still in the automatic reaction.
You would actually
R-
put your
yes,
structure high here.
yes,
Okay.
as the
So I'm gonna
automatic rally. Sorry.
automatic rally. Okay. So I'm gonna move my I'm gonna move the line up so we have that marked.
Right.
Okay.
Because we're kind of looking
So
for a top out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
when we get that first automatic rally, that push up, we still got that little pullback
Okay.
and more buying. So I would consider the top of it as the automatic rally.
So right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got our automatic rally, and then we came down. This would be like the secondary test, right?
Well, this is what I'm thinking. This is way too shallow for a secondary test.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what's been throwing me. So if what happened was, if we took this as, if I can grab it, give me that green line. There we go.
Hmm.
So we took this, the actual bottom, which is how you would normally chart it. I'm going to get rid of the wick. Say I'm on the 45, so that's, there's some variance there. But
Why do you want to
um,
get rid of the wick?
well, because if you were to do like a point and figure chart on this, I'm sorry, a
Hmm.
bar chart on this,
Hmm.
um, it would kind of, you would see it line up more with the open and the close, and it changes by time frame. So if I go to the 2 hour,
Hmm.
you know, that would push if that would push the bottom way up here. See? And
Hmm.
then you get this big sign of weakness, and that actually kind of makes sense. Um, this, the wicks do not always count. What really counts is kind of like where the structure bottom is, or at least that's what I was thinking. If you took this selling climax, you took it all the way to the bottom,
Hmm.
then we would expect that bottom to get tested again. And so what you had was price was going horizontal and really hugging kind of the top where the red dotted line is,
Hmm.
and it never came down and tested our green line until
Right.
here. Um, so that begs the question: should should I have had my structure bottom all the way down here at the wick and still be waiting for this to get tested,
I think
or
so. I think so
if I go
because
down back to the 45, you can see on this black dotted line here, which is the 50% line from the larger structure.
hmm.
There's a lot of respect happening, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is almost a completed structure until we get this, this spring happen, I guess.
Hmm.
This looks to me like a spring,
Okay. I
which means
see.
I
I
would have
see.
to,
I see.
raise my line to here,
Uh-huh.
ignore the wick. It got retested. It went under, sign of weakness followed by a sign of strength candle,
Right.
and then we got an LPS right here. Does that follow?
Yeah. Yeah.
I might have lost you again.
Oh man.
Uh, we'll see if he pops back in. So then if I take the fibs and measure that,
Can you hear me?
that gives us a perfect. This a last point of support.
Testing,
And then,
testing, 1, 2, 3.
yeah, you still there?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right, good, good.
Um, I'm not sure if you heard what I was saying in the last minute or so.
No, no, I didn't hear you.
Okay. So, this whole horizontal structure
Mm-hmm.
from about here was confusing because if this was a selling climax, then, you know, the wick is debatable as to where you would put the bottom. I mean, you could put the bottom all the way down at the bottom of the wick and still be waiting for price to test that. But to my mind, you know, it's where the candle closes that's more important. So if I put the bottom of the structure here, then we had this whole horizontal consolidation happening that never came down into this lower area.
Mm-hmm.
It was way up here, which I guess is actually can be a very bullish sign of strength, right? If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't test lower.
Mm-hmm.
But we still want to get like a test, a secondary test or a spring, and we got it right here.
Mm-hmm.
We got that break of structure. We got that, basically a sign of weakness. Then this is a bullish order block.
Mm-hmm.
And so this came back up inside. So this to me has all the makings of a spring.
Yeah.
And if it's a spring, that brings us into a phase D, and uh, we should get a last point of support pullback, an
Okay.
LPS.
Okay.
And that's
Now,
exactly what this is. And it's right at the 62% golden pullback range,
okay.
right? So
So,
the first target would be 1.272. And that's exactly what hit. You still with us?
yeah, you can hear me?
Test, test, test.
Oh man, this keeps dropping out, man. Yeah, you can hear me?
The next
Testing,
move,
testing, one, two, three.
and you're looking at 50%,
Testing, testing, one, two, three.
60%. We get an ideal pullback.
Testing, testing, one,
Looking for
two,
an FEG.
three.
There's a little one there. There's a big one there
You can hear me?
at the 50%.
What the hell?
There's another one right here. And then there's another one right here. This is on the 1 hour.
Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Yeah, you're back. I
Okay.
hear you.
All right. Um, so where are you right now? I kind of
Okay,
missed
so
missed a little
just to
bit.
kind of recap real quick, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I move to the 1 hour and I kind of ignore the wick and I just go off the 1 hour close, that really marks this as like the bottom of the structure because you kind of get that W-shaped double test right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that seems to universally follow a selling climax or a buying climax. You get that little W. So I
Okay.
like that for the structure bottom. Um, and then you can see it didn't even come all the way down and test it. This would have been kind of phase B right here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got our phase C, which usually moves really quickly to the bottom of the structure. It did. It broke the structure. We got this spring, came back and retested it, and this time we broke back inside, right? So
So
this to me this
you
is potentially the start of a phase D move up.
so that would be like a thermal shakeout. The way you're constructing it is
Yep,
like that's like a thermal
exactly.
shakeout.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's your shakeout right there. That's your test of demand. And there was a lot of it. And then, if we run the FVG, I think we might have touched on this earlier, but if we run
Yeah.
an FVG, um, I have to go down to a lower time frame to spot it in between the wicks. And you can see it came right down to it.
Okay.
And then this was, I just measured it a second ago, but this was a 62% pullback. See if I can just grab this guy. So go from the high that happened right there to the low. That was a perfect 62% pullback into a bullish FVG order block. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next target off of the 62%, the first target is going to be that 1.272 extension. That's what we got right there.
Yeah.
Then we got a little bullish order block on the 45-minute chart, and then I was just taking a look now. So using this next, this potential, LPS. To me, this is a phase D. The trend within the range has started.
Okay.
Then we'd be looking for this to break out. Um, so the first pullback that we got was so far. We've pulled back almost to the 50%. So if we get a bounce in here at 50% or 62%, then that's going to throw over the line. That's going to jump across the creek, and this would be the creek right here.
Mm.
And then we have, let's see what time frame I was using on this. I think it was the hourly. Yeah. So there's a little FVG right in here, bullish.
Hmm.
If I was long, I wouldn't let it go past 79%. This would be my lowest stop loss. We've got an FVG in the 62% range. We've got an FVG in the 50% range. So we've got 3 bullish order blocks sitting here waiting for price to retest into them.
Yeah.
They're waiting to go into discount, basically. Price is in a premium up here, and anyone that bought up here got, taken out. Their stops were triggered most likely, or their
Yeah.
stops could be triggered in here. There's probably a lot of buy stops. So if they can push price down and take all that liquidity, price is going to bounce again. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
We just don't have the confirmation of exactly where that's going to happen. And, getting close to the new daily, I think a repeat of what happened yesterday was price was in a downturn, and then the new daily open happened, and we got all these buyers step in, and we got a total, change in direction.
Yeah.
And then also, this is something I just spotted right here. Excuse me. There is a bearish FVG right here
Okay.
from this wick to this wick.
Yeah.
And so if I run that, and let's color this one red. If this bearish FVG,
Excuse me.
got taken out.
Okay.
So if I was looking, so basically these stop orders, they got taken out, which
Right.
means this is likely to act as support. And if it acts as support, look at where it would act as support at, right at the 62%.
And what price level
'Cause
is
like
that? That's like 42,470.
42.6.
Let's see here. 42,470.
You're looking at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at the top,
The top?
um,
Okay.
42.6. And
42.6. Okay.
yeah, and if you remember from yesterday when we were trading this, it was right at 42.6, 42.5. That was the dividing line for when this broke down, and
Yeah.
the dividing line for when it should have held, and it didn't. So when it didn't, it was a kind of a bullish market structure shift,
Right.
and that's what we have right here. I mean, this is a new high, and this is a higher low.
Right. Yeah.
That's a higher low. So
Yeah.
this is a bullish shift.
Um,
So, to get continuation though, we're going to need to finish this pullback and get a bounce.
so you're thinking pull back before we bounce again.
Yeah.
So let me just share my chart. One
Yeah.
second, one second. Share screen. All right, you could see my screen, right?
Yeah, I see it.
So this is the 1 hour chart again, and I have this first upper deviation band right here. Let me just pull out the arrow. So that's lining up with 42,607 or
That's
42,615, right?
that's that level. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's making sense for probably a retest of that level. Excuse me. And this here is my weekly top central pivot. So we're getting kind of like some resistance right there, or like a little consolidation. And I guess if we're going higher, the first resistance is the central pivot at 44,081.53.
Interesting.
But I really can't tell, man. I really can't, like, if I was to put a trade on right now, I don't know which direction to really put this trade in.
Yeah, it's not signaling clear. I would say, it needs to back test first. You
If,
can't really put on a short because this could bounce at any moment,
right,
especially with the new daily open about to happen
yeah,
in what, 2 or 3 hours. And you can't really go long here and just hope for the best. You really have to wait for some sort of confirmation.
yeah. In the structure you were talking about, you're saying we're in phase D, kind of like a breakout, retest kind of action right now, right?
Yeah, except it hasn't actually broken out. I would say we're in the second LPS is about to form. So if you take that first LPS, which was at the daily pivot, 42170, then we're waiting on a second LPS, and we broke above the structure, but then we broke back under it. I mean, that much is pretty clear. Because even if you go back into the 13th, you've got 43,250 was the structure high.
Right, right.
So it definitely broke the structure,
Yeah, we did.
which is
We
not,
did.
yeah, it's not uncommon. But man, I'm learning a lot from this. I I was really confused about where to put my structure high and my structure low because, like you were saying, you got that weak rally that
Yeah,
kind of fizzled out and then suddenly took back off again.
yeah,
So that was weird. You got that huge selling climax, and then that should have marked the bottom, but price really stayed higher than that. Um, it's funny on your chart looking at it, you don't see the wicks with how you're zoomed in, where that selling climax was.
well, right,
Um,
right here.
yeah, yeah. See how that VWAP deviation actually acts as the structure bottom.
Mm-hmm.
If if you ignore the wick, now if you were to zoom in, there's actually a wick that goes all the way down to where you have the green line automatic reaction daily.
Yeah, you
But
you can't see
without,
the wick.
mhm, I can't see it now.
It's right there though. I don't know, maybe my
Yeah.
resolution isn't too good. You still can't see it?
It changes like when you zoom in and zoom out, or you go to a different time frame. I see it, and I can see some of the other wicks. I know it's there because I'm looking at my chart, but um, again, I think where that candle closed was actually the structure bottom
Okay. I
because
kind of
you see how price hugs it.
yeah. Even though it did this, right? Like in the way the structure is broken down in the books and stuff, you really gotta take in consideration the wicks because the wicks is really where the buying started, right? So
Yeah,
that's why you kind of consider it the selling climax, right? Because you want to know
right.
where the buying actually started, right? So
Yeah,
I would still consider this like the buying climax right here at the automatic reaction on the daily. And
yeah,
this being the bottom here, I wouldn't consider it the bottom. I would kind of look at it like it's a very shallow pullback, which is indicative of like strong buying, right? So buyers are trying to keep this price up here in the automatic
mhm.
rally, right?
It's
But
also a very
then,
strong. It's a very strong phase B. And
right?
when I say strong, I mean it doesn't test the bottom. So like that adds to the bullish thesis is that this long horizontal phase B never came down to the level of the selling climax. It stayed way up at the ceiling.
So I would actually still consider all of this here as phase A, and I would only consider this here, like I wouldn't consider this like a spring test or thermal shakeout because we didn't get below the structure low, right? And this is kind of like in the difference in how we're putting the structure low, right? This is kind of showing me that there is like a lot of buying pressure because it took a long time for this secondary stop or secondary test to
Yeah.
actually come about, right? And now that we got this big reversal right there, it's still like to me it's still in this is now phase B, right?
I see.
From this drop here, this is now phase B, and this is where we're supposed to get that push up to, let's say, a break above the structure high, right? So somewhere around here, right? Probably back
Um,
to this level right here at 44.62
yeah.
to create like the uptrust, and then we gotta come back down to like the bottom of the structure. But who knows, man? This is kind of like at this point is just really guessing because this structure is real kind of unorthodox to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. This one has been giving me grief, and it hasn't really completed yet. It's one of those like we'll be able to tell what it is exactly once it's completed, but right now it hasn't finished.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it on Bitcoin right now, man. It's like we really gotta see something, because this kind of accumulative structure, suppose it starts failing right now, like because we're like this automatic reaction right here, right? This is from, let me go up to the weekly chart or the daily chart. Let me go to the daily. Where is it? Okay. So just this little structure right here. So this is how I marked up this little structure for the daily chart, right? So this is the preliminary stop right here, preliminary supply. Then we got the buying climax, which also lines up with the lowest point of supply on the weekly chart, right? So
Okay.
now that we pull back in, if this is like a distributive structure, now that we pull back in and we got the automatic reaction here after the buying climax, we're supposed to get this uptrust here.
Yeah.
So everything is kind of, to me, it's kind of suggesting bullishness in the short term. Like in for this week, we should get like a bullish run. But if we do get like a continuation here for like a minor sign of weakness to come down to this level to like around 40,000, something like that, right? We could still maybe expect that. But if we're looking at this as a pattern right here, this is a big reversal candle, right? From this
Yeah.
sell off
I
right
see
there.
that. Yeah.
So if if we're if we're thinking probabilities, we're probably going to do the uptrust. This is looking kind of bullish. And with the volume, if you look at the volume on this selling candle right here, it's probably accumulation as well to get that buying wick. You can see the wick on my chart, right?
Yes, I see it now. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
zoom in.
So we got all this volume here. Let me just make this bigger. So we got all that volume right there, and we got a lot of buying coming back up to this level here. So I'm thinking after this, all of this is just absorption right now, and we're probably going to push higher because the volume dropped off a lot. Now it was over the weekend and we have this holiday today and stuff, so that may account for like the low volume, but it could also be that the selling has dried up a lot. And
Yeah.
all this could be the accumulation where the volume gets low and they're just buying, right? And probably look
Yeah,
for
I
like
see
the
that.
uptrust. I think probably the bullish side is probably the best side. Like if you were taking like a swing trade right now, you could probably buy around this area and put your stop below like the lows, right?
Yeah.
And probably get a nice ride up to the top. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking bullish.
Where would you say the top is when you
Um,
say right up to the top?
yeah, 49047.68, somewhere around there. 49
Okay.
130 or 49 102. That's the level right there. So I'm thinking we
Okay.
gotta, for this structure right here, we have to make another uptrust. Uptrust after distribution, I think it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
But we're so close to the bottom of the structure that it's like anything could happen right here, you know?
Yeah.
And like notice I didn't put the automatic reaction here because to me this is the preliminary supply and you have to get a buying climax before you get an automatic reaction. So even though we have this preliminary supply and we had this pullback right here, right?
Mhm.
It's not a buying climax because there is no preliminary stop, right? You would have to look at this as a preliminary supply here, and then this would be the buying climax for that to be the automatic reaction. And I don't think that's the preliminary supply right there. I think it's up here. Then we got the stop in price, right? Then we got the
Yeah.
buying climax. Then we create this automatic reaction.
So you don't think that the the horizontal consolidation is on the left is the stop because it's too long, right? It's not like a small little blip. It's a pretty long, fairly long consolidation, I guess,
This
compared
one
to
right
what
here.
further left.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Now, while it's happening, right? While this one here is developing, we could actually look at this. There's a lot of preliminary supplies coming out here, right? But we don't get a stoppage. It
Yeah.
keeps going, right? If you look at this structure, this is the only real stoppage where we get a pullback after like something like a buy climax. Because if we look at this one here as preliminary supply, and let's say this is buying climax, it can't be because we're already pushing back up to that structure and moving higher. So that isn't a buying climax because we're not done, right?
Yeah.
This is the only structure here that shows that it's done because we actually came back down to the bottom of the structure.
Yeah.
So this is really the change of character for me right here. There is no other change of character. We just kept going bullish.
It's quite a bit different when you zoom out, isn't it?
Yeah,
When in doubt, zoom out.
for real, for real. Yeah, man. So I'm thinking bullish, man. I'm thinking we're probably gonna get that uptrust and let's see how it goes, man.
Well, yeah, it's good. We've got the lines marked as to where, the breakouts could happen. We've got the lines marked for where the range is,
Yeah.
so as a day trader, I would go in and play those levels. But
Mm,
as a swing trader, I would really be kind of like in a holding pattern right now, waiting to decide
yeah.
because it really hasn't broken out, hasn't broken down. It's still just chopping.
We're basically in the middle, right?
Yeah,
Let's
chopping
see.
inside the range.
Yeah. Can you see my chart now?
Yeah,
So I have this volume pointer control here. This is it's on the 1 hour chart and it's going back 170 bars, right? So I think that's like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. So it's a weekly volume pointer control, right?
okay.
And it actually lines up with kind of like the start of this distributive kind of structure that happened right
Yeah,
here. So we have the volume pointer control for this at 40, 46313, and we have some high volume nodes here where we're getting this rejection right here at 43. 229, right?
Okay.
So is this actually gonna push above this high volume node and try and get to like the next high volume node, which is at 45, 155, somewhere around there? Because we have a little low volume gap right here around 44, 117. So, but the resistance is right here at the top of this range, which created like a high volume node. So going back here, if this volume profile started from this level here, or like from the 8th of January, right? It's not considering all of this here as volume. So what actually created this high volume node right here is only this, right?
Yeah.
So what's actually happening at the top here? Is this heavy selling to continue like the distribution? Because
I mean, until it breaks, unless it breaks above, I would say yeah.
because all of this, where would it how could I say this? Is these tops right here at the high volume node? Like we only got two touches, right?
Mhm.
After the big selling. So did all of the volume happen in this candle right here to create that high volume node? Because we had some support right there as well, right? It tried to do the preliminary stop. Then we got the little bounce up to the low volume node, and then we broke down to create the selling climax, right? Now,
Mhm.
these two touches here probably wouldn't create like a high volume node. It's probably this.
Yeah.
So I guess this is like a key level right here for we got the resistance there again. Sellers came back in with actual high volume as well. Because when you zoom in, you can see how much volume went into this candle. Now this candle, let's see, 1 second. All right, so if you're doing a fib to the top here, sorry about the noise in the background. The cops are going crazy.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if that was your house or my house.
Huh? Right. So this is on this candle here. I pulled a fib from the bottom of this candle to the top of it, right? So we actually, that retracement in the candle was below the 50%. So it's basically more than half of it sold in this volume candle right here. And then now we're just getting more selling. So
True.
I don't know, that's kind of discrediting the bullish setup. Because this could be a lot of selling pressure at the top here that's actually gonna push us like way down. If you want to look at it like that. Jeremy, you still there? Oh, I think I lost Jeremy.
I may have lost your audio
You
again. Are you still there?
you can hear me? Oh man.
Audio.
Testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with my stuff, man. It just keeps dropping out.
You know, if it might be like if the internet drops, then the Discord starts searching for the audio or something. I don't know if that makes
Probably.
sense.
Probably.
Because it doesn't really make sense for your audio to drop out if it's directly plugged in, but if it's
Yeah.
something to do with the internet going in and out, because my internet is really janky. It's like every time I get dropped, something messes up in Discord.
Yeah. Even I gotta improve my internet as well, man. I gotta get like some broader bandwidth or something like that.
Can you hear me? I think I lost you again.
Can you hear me? Oh man. Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, man. So yeah, I don't know if where you lost me at, but I was looking at this selling candle right here. You can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pulled the fib from like the bottom of this candle to the top, and this is more than 50% retracement in this candle.
hmm
And then we're getting continuation to the downside. So I think anything could happen here, man. It's like this could actually turn into like a real distribution, redistribution structure and just break the lows here.
Yeah, I
Because,
think so too. Um, I'm looking at the 12-hour chart, and the structure looks really well defined on the 12-hour chart.
12 hour. That's another one I never used. Let me see. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
I
just
have that.
kind of splits the 24-hour into two.
I don't have that option. I only have up to
You
eight
can
hours.
you could add it at the bottom where it says minutes. You just
Oh,
clicked on it.
okay. Okay.
Click on minutes and change that to hours, and then click on the one and change it to 12,
Got it.
and then click add, and then if you favorite it, it'll come up on your chart as an option. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so this structure here looks just classic. Um, very well defined,
Mm.
because you can see at the beginning of it, you can see the preliminary stop, and then you can see the buying climax. You can see the automatic reaction. Uh,
I can't see you pointing on the screen because I'm looking at your screen now.
oh, okay. Let me switch to my screen because I'm sitting here looking at yours.
Yeah.
So this is the 12-hour,
Yeah.
and this is the larger time frame range rotation that I've been looking at.
Yeah.
So, this kind of looks like a preliminary stop to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you get a buying climax, which kind of does this little double pump.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get would this be called the automatic
Reaction.
reaction?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, automatic reaction, which is bearish, right? Because
Um,
it's
it's it's it's kind of bullish because it's like supporting
bullish.
the distribution. So after that, you're
Okay.
supposed to get bullish action.
Okay, so that would be considering this like a great big bull flag,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But let's just take a look at what's going on here from like a different perspective. So you got the bottom test, secondary test.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a long, still
Actually,
looks like
the
phase
secondary
B.
test is to the upside. So after the automatic reaction, that next move to the upside would be the secondary test.
This one here,
No, next to it, to the right.
this
Because
this
the
one here.
automatic reaction is at the bottom right there, those blue dots, blue dotted line.
hmm
And then the
Yep.
first move up is supposed to be
Okay.
the secondary test. No, that's the second one. The first move up, that first buying candle. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
So we
actually
got a second.
supposed to be
Okay. So we got a secondary test that didn't make it to the top of the structure
right.
right here.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, and so this would still be phase B, I'm assuming, because it's like choppy.
So after the secondary test, then we go into phase B, and that
Mhm.
came back down again, tested the bottom.
Almost got to the bottom, not quite. Then we
Yeah.
we broke out. So this right here, this bearish order block would be phase C, right? And phase C should go to the bottom of the structure. Boom. There
Which
it
it
is.
did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then this would be the start of, would this be the start of phase D right here then?
Yep. Yeah.
Or would phase D actually start?
No, it
Because
actually
this double
starts.
false breakout to me is very distributive.
Okay.
You see how
But
we got
this,
this double top?
yeah.
I might have lost you again.
Oh man, this testing 1 2 3.
You're back.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you can see my screen, yeah?
Yeah.
So we got this double top, false breakout. This is, would be great to have shorted back into the range. Um, and then the question is, once it's back in the range, what's going to happen? If you're looking at this from like a Mando model,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to, we've got, ignoring the wicks, we've got a new low. So that's a market structure shift to the downside. And then we've got a bearish FVG from this wick to that wick. That's a bearish FVG. That's
Mm-hmm.
a bearish order block. That's what this big sign of strength or sign of weakness candle, I guess is what you would call that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we run a fib on that, going from the top to the bottom, so this could be bullish up into the FVG. I mean, it could easily test the top. It could easily come back and test up into like the 50% range and then fail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing kind of like a mix of, we could get a bullish pullback, but a bearish, you know, response.
Okay.
Um, what I would normally like to see to confirm bearish is that this structure high gets retested. So if price were to come back up and retest that and then
Mm-hmm.
fail, that would create like a last point of supply. That'd be an LPS. And that'd
Okay.
be, confirmation of, you could play the range from red dot to blue dot real easy, and then you would expect, for this to break below and retest below and then kind of get a better sense of it there.
Hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense right there. Yeah,
So
that
I
that's
I would
that's a good
hesitate,
breakout.
yeah, I would hesitate at this point to say, I mean, it looks bearish to me right now, and I think that at a certain point, like I think this could pull back into the FVG, and then I think it could drop lower.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens down here, you know, is where things start to get interesting, because if this were to go back below the line and then break back up into it, I would take this long, you know. But if it were
Okay.
to fail under this line, then I would take that short. But in the meantime, while it's in here, it's a lot of chop, and I think that's why it's so confusing. Is because we're getting mixed signals, because we're getting, the bulls and the bears are fighting it out. So
Right.
it starts to look bullish, it starts to look bearish, and it's all just this chop in this range.
Yeah. Yeah. You could still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
And
Um.
this is a fairly long, horizontal consolidation
Yeah.
with a false breakout, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, the longer the consolidation, the more likely a trend reversal.
Yeah.
Uh, Compared to this one here, you know, it doesn't seem like it's that much longer.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're looking at each consolidation, we've got, basically one off the bottom, two, three. So if this is corrective, if this is a three-wave corrective situation, then we've got more downside.
Yeah. But,
If it's if this is indeed, the start of a new bull rally,
mm-hmm.
then we're going to have to definitively break out of this range where
Yeah.
the red dot is,
Yeah.
and that'll start another leg higher.
Yep.
And
But
My feeling is looking at this is that it hasn't really committed to either direction.
mhm.
You know,
But
it's we could day trade it in certain, and we could probably sort out whether to go long on a day trade, but in terms
yeah,
of a swing trade, I'd be super cautious.
yeah. Let me share my screen. Let
Let's
me
pop over.
take a look at something on the 1 hour chart. Now you can see my screen.
Yeah.
So I put the Camarillas on, right? These are the weekly cams, right? Now, if we're looking at this, we're in a overlapping lower value relationship, right? And this VWAP band here, this first deviation band, right? Usually, like I'm developing this strategy on like the 5 minute and stuff like that, where when it breaks down this level, you usually get to the VWAP level, right? So the next VWAP level here is at 35440, right? Now, the reason I'm thinking about this as a distributive structure as well is because after this uptrust here, like how you were pointing it out on your 12-hour chart, right? After
Yeah.
this uptrust here, and we get this move down, right? If the Camarillas are setting up in a lower value relationship for the beginning of this week, and we get a rejection way below Camarilla R3, right? This is a very bearish setup because when we break this upper deviation band, okay, so if we're coming down to test this upper deviation band, right? We're supposed to get a reversal right here if we're staying bullish. We're
Right.
supposed to get this reversal and continue. But this right here, this is not suggesting any continuation to the upside because the volume profile has the high volume node right there. Big
Yeah.
rejection. Camarilla R3 on the weekly is above it. Didn't even get close. And now we're possibly going to break down this upper deviation band again, right? So even though the first time here, right, if we're looking at it as this is a higher low, right?
Mhm.
Let me just make this bigger. So this is a higher low, right? But
Yeah.
when we came here above to get bullish above this upper deviation band, we should have went bullish from here. We got this response. So
Yeah.
this
Got a
response
big
here
sell off.
and this response here is like the same thing telling you that 3 times we've broken below this upper deviation band and we're not getting that bullish move, right? Now
Yeah.
we're gonna break this again because this is basically showing that we're definitely gonna test this again, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we break down here again, I don't really have faith in like a bullish move. I'm starting to think we're gonna really test Camarilla S3 this week and Camarilla S4 because
It wouldn't surprise me.
just from developing that strategy on the 5 minute chart, normally when we break this upper deviation band, especially in a Camarilla setup like this is definitely a short, you know? So I don't know, man. It's on the weekly chart. It's suggesting maybe we get an uptrust from this level because we have this selling climax right here. But the selling climax isn't. It's a weird structure. I mean, if it's reaccumulation, it's a weird structure.
Yeah.
And I think just the weirdness of the structure is indicating that it's not reaccumulation. Reaccumulation right here at this part right here, this phase. If this was a thermal shake, we're supposed to be up here.
Yeah.
We should have got the strength. Why did it stop right here again and give us this
Yeah. Why didn't
signal?
it push through?
What's this
Yeah, I
signal
see
right
it.
here? This is saying something to me with heavy volume as well. And the next thing is this wick right here with heavy volume. That's two cell signals right here at this upper deviation band.
Yeah.
And we're nowhere near this Camarilla R3. So I'm really thinking maybe some more weakness this week.
It
'Cause
would
I'm
be in line with the whole sell the news thing with
right,
the ETFs too,
right.
you know. I would mention this earlier in one of the other discords. We were kind of talking about where Bitcoin was going to head, and
Hmm.
you know, I remember distinctly when Coinbase listed and Robinhood listed,
Yeah.
and they both they've got pushed up in pre-market buying, and they looked really bullish. And then I think I bought some Coinbase too, and I don't.
Hmm.
It was some ridiculous high price. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
And that thing, it went up for a little bit, and then it just crashed. You
Yeah.
know, they sold the news, they sold it off,
Hmm.
and that seems to be kind of the expectation, kind of what happens. They hype it up and hype it up, and then they just sell it down. And they're gonna, the deep pockets are gonna they're gonna accumulate this once they get it down to whatever price, they want. But
Hmm.
in the meantime, that's a pretty bearish, pessimistic view of where price is headed.
And this is one thing I kind of like I kind of realized, right? Like it's actually the opposite. Like when we see, let's say Bitcoin goes to 15,000 right now, right? It's not actually a bearish situation. It's actually the institutions bringing down price so they can accumulate more. So
Yep.
it's actually a very bullish move because if you think about it like this, we have all this news about Bitcoin getting assimilated more into society, I would say, like with the institutions taking part and the ETFs getting created and all that, right? Now, to me, my theory is that all of this is a process to integrate Bitcoin into like Web3, what's coming, So Bitcoin
Right.
is still in its in its infant stage, right? And
Right.
it's something where you can't really control it unless you have the majority of it. Because you can't
Yeah.
control Bitcoin, but you can control Bitcoin by having more of it than anyone else, right? So I'm looking
Yeah.
at it like for the purpose they want to use it for, all the institutions and central banks now have to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible and take Bitcoin away from people who have it, right? So
Right.
the way to do that is definitely to bring price down and to create some
Yeah.
kind of panic for people who's holding Bitcoin. They need them to let go of that, right? The only way
Yep.
you could do that is send it to 15,000.
They're discounting the price for
Mm-hmm.
themselves so that they can
Mm-hmm.
buy it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because,
And if you're buying it right now, you're buying it in premium because it's at kind of a local top.
right. And
So that's where you get skunked.
I think like the reason it went up to 69,000 when we topped out at 69,000, that's when they actually came into the to Bitcoin, right? They
Yeah.
accumulated at the bottom, but they were accumulating kind of like not as much as they should. Like it was like a test run, right? So while institutions were basically late to the party because it was basically the public who had the interest in Bitcoin, right? And they were naysayers like, oh, this is never gonna work, and the rhetoric, right? So
Right.
for them to actually take control, they had to buy. So the buying had to push price up because they had no other choice. They couldn't buy in increments. They had to actually buy and grab hold of a lot of Bitcoin, right? So that sent it up to 69,000 and they immediately sold, right? So as we peaked, we immediately sold back off to like, where did we get to? Like 20,000 or something like that?
You're talking about the recent bottom
Mm-hmm.
was 15.6, I think, was 15. Well, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15.
Right. So when we got down there, they started buying again. So they had like, because a lot of people probably sold out their bitcoins, right? Because people got rich. You went from like, I don't know, wherever you bought it from, like 16,000 to like 69,000. A lot of people
Yeah,
got rich and let go of their bitcoin when the institutions like plunged on price, right?
yeah.
Now I think they're really in the reaccumulation stage, but they're doing a little pump again, because I think they're really trying to shake people out of Bitcoin. So I
Yeah, I
don't
think
think
so
it's
too.
probably going to keep going higher. I think they're going to bring this down again to probably scare people a little bit to let go of their Bitcoins, you know?
It would totally make sense, to do that.
I mean, if I had
I
deep
think,
pockets, I would do it.
well, sure, because then you could buy it at the cheapest price. Why would you want to buy it at 69 when you take a small portion of what you own and push price down,
Yeah,
cause a selling panic.
yeah. And I think they're probably still distributing because on the weekly chart where I have this last point of supply is at this recent top here at 49,102, right?
Mhm.
I think excuse me. I think they're gonna bring it down probably way back down to this 15,000 level and probably even break it lower and get somewhere into
Yeah,
that, where we consolidated like around 2017 to like around 2020. That's when we actually took off in Bitcoin in 2020.
yeah, I see it.
I think it's going to retest that level again. Because if you look at the chart, you could actually see where they stepped in, where they started to accumulate. And that 2020, when they had a bunch of money and stuff like that, they just threw a bunch of money at it because they realized, yo, we got to get into this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are
Because
you
this,
on the weekly chart?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at that too, and if you include 2017 in your chart, if you scroll a little bit to the right,
Mm-hmm.
just to get the 2017 in there, um, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know, place your crosshair on top of the peak,
Mm-hmm.
so a little higher. Oop, we lost it. There we go. And then, well, maybe zoom out just a little bit because there's another peak I want to show you. It's very conspicuous. Yeah, so go ahead and rest your horizontal line on top of the peak of 2017 and then follow with your eye to the right, right where that spike started.
Right here.
It's, no, it's around, let's see, it's around 2021. I think it's December 2021. I'm just looking right now. I'll find it. Yeah, I'm sorry, December 20, November 20. There's a little horizontal consolidation right there. I'm not totally seeing it on your chart, but yeah, it's right there. Yeah, I see it now.
This
That
is
that
it
was it
here.
right there.
Uh-huh.
See, that acted as the launch pad. That was the 2017 peak.
Right, right.
And when price retested that zone, it went horizontal, and then that acted as the launch pad. And
Yeah.
then what's really interesting is if you scroll to the right now,
Mm-hmm.
and like keep going to where we had our recent bottom, and then look at how price reacted at that level. It
Con
actually went horizontal and tested
yeah,
it twice, and
yeah.
then it broke below and went to that green line that you have listed as the sign of weakness on the weekly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use that, yeah, see how there's like a horizontal consolidation, and then look, I mean, that's the level right there.
Right.
Because usually, the previous high, like all-time high,
Mm-hmm.
then acts as support for the next pullback, and that's
Right.
exactly what we're seeing right there.
And we definitely got like a retest inside here. Um, I don't know if you can see that wick right there. That's kind of like your FFVG kind of retest,
Yeah,
like.
yeah, it is.
So probably we'll come back and retest that level, man.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all.
Let me see
And
something
this,
here. If we take, wait, no. Right, let's take a fib from here to the top. Right, so 61% is here, 78. So basically a 78% retracement would be the retest.
yep,
Am I using the fib right? That's how you pull it from the bottom to the top right
yeah,
there, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the way I look at it is, when we get a 78, it's 78.6, but I use 79 just for convenience.
Okay.
To me, when you get a 79% pullback, um, that kind of signals the start of a wave one, and then it'll usually go past that, and then you'll get a second high, and then you'll get the 62% pullback. And the 62% pullback is like the trampoline. That's where I like to enter.
Mm,
Um, but anything below 79 is like your stop loss, right? If it's pulling back,
okay.
79 is the lowest low. And that would totally make sense because it lines up with that area of support, previous support right there.
Right. So they might do another wick into it below the 79% level like it did over here. I don't know if you could see
Yeah.
it. And that would
Yeah.
run stops right there. Because
Yep.
if it comes back to this level, consolidates a little bit like it did here, people will start buying. Then they do that thermal shake, boom, in down into the level and move
Yep.
back up.
And then that also reinforces that 2017 all-time high zone as
Mm-hmm.
support,
Right.
because in its history, I haven't seen it drop below that, if that makes sense. It's like when it pulls back to the previous all-time high,
Right.
and then it launches from there.
Okay. Let me look at something here. This is the monthly Camarillas. Okay, so let me check some out. Let me do the monthly. Let's do the 60 on the pivots. Nothing popped up. Wait, hold on. Okay, I only have the monthlies. I was trying to get like maybe the quarterlies to see if we come down somewhere near these levels. I guess not. Yeah, so all we have right now is these. Wait, let me do this. Let me do okay. So this lower deviation band here is just below that at we have what 14507 and we have VWAP here at 29217. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to find anything else that's kind of lining up with that 2017 right there,
Mhm. So
but
you were
nothing
saying
I
that's
can see.
there's a
This is like the VWAP lower deviation on the daily
okay.
chart. Yeah. So I actually pulled that from like, let's see, I started it from March 2020. That's kind of like where
Oh wow.
we
I
trampoline
see.
from. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
So
I
you're
have
using, is this the annual VWAP, or it's basically the VWAP based on wherever you start it from? So it could be even bit
it's
longer than
anchored VWAP, so I could start it
anchored.
from
Gotcha.
here.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you can see this second upper deviation, that's where we got that two rejections and we broke down from the upper deviation. I don't know if you could see that properly. Let me
Yeah, I see
see.
it.
Right. So first upper deviation, and that's the second upper deviation there. So we got that rejection from there. And the VWAP bands, they kind of work, they work just like they work on the 5 minute chart. Once you get that breakdown of second upper deviation, first upper deviation, you usually get a VWAP, which is that white line right there. Right?
Yeah.
So now we came down to the support level, the lower deviation. We got the support right there. Push back up above VWAP, and now this is the deciding factor right here with the
Yeah.
first upper deviation band. So let's
And
open this up.
what's interesting too is you're getting uh, you're getting a lower angle to the VWAP bands as a whole.
Hmm.
Like the VWAP bands have actually rolled over and are headed south. They're
Right.
at less than a 90%. Like, yeah, you can see
Yeah.
there's a downward. They're trending down, and they're also constricting. So
Yeah.
they're going to constrict usually prior to a move. They're going to get tighter,
Yeah.
but right now the volume is headed down. It's
Yeah.
headed lower.
And this
That's
right here,
fascinating.
yeah, this right here is a definite bearish setup, because if we can't get back above this first upper deviation right there, we already
Uh,
failed at it. We got rejection once, rejection twice. This is another break and fail, another break and fail. So this is showing nothing but bearishness right here around this upper deviation. If we
yeah,
were bullish, we are supposed to break above, probably retest below, and go from here, and then come back and test it from the top. But
yeah,
we keep losing it.
yeah. All we need here is a back test now into that bearish FVG, and it's on for headed south.
Right,
So that
right.
would explain why we're getting some bullish, conflicting signals, is because it might pull back, but that VWAP level is going to act as resistance.
Yeah.
There's another thing I wanted to point out too. What time frame are you on? This is the week?
Daily.
You're on the daily.
Yeah.
So there's these patterns on the candle patterns that I've been using a lot lately when I want to go short.
Hmm.
And basically it's a false breakout. If you look to the left at that first buying climax.
You want to switch over to your chart?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. You were on the daily, you said?
Yeah.
Let's just get it to refresh here. Hello. And I'm frozen. That's weird. You don't have too much problems with the internet. I got one of those we called a Verizon mobile hotspot or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there we go. Okay, we're back. Because my internet, my hardline internet was just dropping all the time. So
Oh,
I got a
okay.
second internet to
Yeah, I
to
got I got one of those
combat
for
that.
one of my laptops as well.
It helps, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Just as a
yeah. So
security.
yeah, I mean it works better than my Spectrum internet. So I just keep it on for trading, and I only use it for trading, nothing else. I
Okay.
don't stream off it or anything. So this pattern right here is something that I pointed out in Discord last week. It's a pattern that I look for on the lower time frame, and basically it's a bearish order block, which is this kind of short candle right here.
Hmm.
And you would go here. I'm going to change this color because I like to differentiate these. Um, so that's a bearish order block if price were to go south, but it usually needs to be retested. And the way that we're taught in a lot of these like traditional technical analysis classes is that this would retest the bottom, right, of this. Do you see what I'm this candle right here?
Hmm.
But what I've been seeing lately a lot is that it doesn't just test the bottom, but it breaks through and it
Okay.
breaks through the top. So I'm going to just show you that. So now you've got this, what we might call a double top, but you've got a secondary test of this bearish order block that actually goes through it.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a second order block, right? And so
Okay.
now this is like more confirmation now. So this was your fake out, right? This was your signal, this was your fake out, and then boom. See what happened?
Yeah.
You retested into it and then it dropped. And this became like support, So we know that there's a lot of bearishness in that zone, and these bears just keep enforcing that line right there,
Right.
right?
Right.
So this pattern is something I look for on the 5 minute, I look for on the 1 minute. I'll wait for that pattern to form up, and then I'll wait for the secondary pattern to get like the double version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it all the time. And, I call it it's like a buy to sell candle, right? The sign of strength at the end, and then they sell it off, and then they do another one to get people to buy in, right? And then they trigger the stops, and then boom, they slam it down. You see this
So
all the time.
where do you usually enter this trade? Like where's
Okay,
your
so
execution
I'm gonna
confirmation?
I'll show you another one. So here we are again at the end of the pattern, and there's something very similar right here. Here's a bearish order block, right? That's this candle. You go from the bottom of the red candle to the top of the wick, and that's how you draw that bearish order block. And then
Mm-hmm.
I wait for that to get retested. See, so it dropped and everybody got in short, and
Right.
then they triggered all those stops and they slammed it up even higher. And when they slammed it higher, they broke. This would be the traditional zone, and they broke that zone. So they triggered
Mm-hmm.
all these stops. Everybody had their stops here. They took all that liquidity, and then look
Mm-hmm.
what happened. They slammed it down. So this works. We're looking at the daily, but this works on the 1 minute. This works on the 5 minute. This works on the monthly, the weekly.
Mm-hmm.
That is a bearish pattern that I see over and over and over.
And where do
Um,
you enter on those trades?
so where I would enter is once you get the second liquidity hunt right
Uh-huh.
here,
Yeah.
this candle. So once this candle closes, you could enter. Where's my line? You could enter on the break of the initial um, order block,
Okay.
like that red. So you could enter. We're looking for this level right here to fail now.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the fake out, that's your
Yeah.
level. That's your entry.
So
And then
go ahead.
if you were playing it safe, you could assume that there's bearish orders in here that have just gotten retested and
Mm-hmm.
that they pushed as low as like this candle or this wick. If you just wanted to scalp it, you could scalp it just to like that wick,
Okay.
as like a real kind of conservative safe play.
Mm-hmm.
But with the location of this at the end of the structure and this being kind of a false breakout double top situation, we know that this is usually going to go and test the bottom down here.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's not going to pull back, And when you're playing futures, you could lose all your money on a pullback, even though you're correct in your direction, right? So
Right.
that doesn't mean I would just hold and hold for that line. But a real safe play would be that break of the order block right there to like that wick, or even
Okay.
this structure high.
So does it
Yeah.
when you look at that structure, right, and that setup, does it usually break that wick and go lower, or is that usually where it stops?
It usually does. And here's another thing to consider. Like I look for this at key points along the structure at resistance
Mm-hmm.
specifically. So like when I get that first bearish order block, I don't just jump in and like place my stop up here and hope for the best. I
Okay.
wait for like a second test.
Right.
And you'll see these forming up over the course of a few seconds. Like when you're on the 1 minute chart, like this is like boom, 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 boom. It forms up, it breaks down, or forms up, it breaks down, and then you're in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm looking for it at resistance specifically. So
Okay.
like knowing that this is phase B and this is chop, I probably wouldn't just enter this bearish order block right here,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because this is going to chop up and down, chop it up and down, up and down. It might test the range. It might go to the bottom. It might not. We don't really know what's going to happen here.
Right.
But like at this specific zone, the likelihood of it slamming down, and we don't know what the bottom is. We haven't been. It hasn't come here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, I might just play like to that wick. I might play from that, from where it breaks down to that wick
Mm-hmm.
as a real safe play. Or I might, just have a trailing stop on it. But then once we get over to this section, and like here, we know in Wyckoff theory, we know that like we'll get a test that fails
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
So I might not enter this. And again, that's not that pattern, right? This is a bearish order block that then it doesn't get the second test.
Okay.
See, it didn't break above,
Okay.
so like if I draw that from the bottom of this candle to the top of the wick,
Yeah.
the second this candle didn't break above that line.
Okay.
So that's not telling me what I want to know there. That's a little wishy-washy. But when
Mm.
we come to the end of the structure and we get this double, classic kind of double top false breakout thing, and we get
Yeah.
that liquidity hunt, that to me is a great short.
So you're looking to take these trades like at uptrust levels? Is
Oops.
that where you take most of these trades?
Yeah, I guess if the structure was distributive, right?
Right.
Um, then I would consider that.
Because with the buying climax you get like these, those kind of wicks where they run stops and stuff like that a lot. Maybe uptrust buying climax is where you get those kind of plays, I guess.
Yeah,
Because on the preliminary supply, like the first one you did there, it probably doesn't give you everything you're looking for.
yeah. I'm real careful with those, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. They don't have nearly as high probability as
Right.
this entry right here. This entry right here, it's been tested multiple times,
Right, right.
and then
Okay.
test again. Like this one is telling us where it's going to go.
Okay.
Yeah, like because we already know where the bottom is, right? Because
Right.
it showed us right here, it showed us here, it showed us here.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have that mapped out. So that's a good short, you know.
Cool.
And then once it gets here, it's gonna it's messing around.
Yeah.
I would have expected this slam all the way down to 41, and it didn't. That was what threw us yesterday.
Mhm.
But we can see why, you know.
So with all that we've broken down so far, right? What's your final synopsis? What's your thesis?
So looking at Bitcoin over the course of this horizontal, range here,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say I have two thoughts, and both of them hinge on these levels right here.
Okay.
I would be bullish if this were, to come back above this red dotted line, this structure high, this resistance,
Mm-hmm.
then I might look to go long. I
Okay.
might carefully long it only to this level
Right.
because I don't really know. Um, if I'm day trading, I'm going to be looking for short entries below this red line with a final target down here. But if you open up VWAP, you can see there's not enough volume to support it yet. If this comes back and tests into this FVG
Mhm.
and then comes down, then I think that would be a great short down to the blue line. If I was swing trading this, I would look to go short on a break below support.
Right.
So those are my three entries, right? Possible long if it comes back. I don't see it happening. I would short within the range, but I'd be wary of pops, you know,
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at these two candles, these last three candles actually,
Yeah.
look at the volume. It's below average,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Institutional money creates above average volume bars, and
Mm-hmm.
those last two have been completely bearish. Then retail money can't push above average volume,
Right.
and so it's fluttering and it's chopping. So once institutions step in again, they're going to slam us down with another bar. That's my synopsis. That's what I think is going to happen.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then just looking at it as a, you know, on the larger structure, we've got a we've got a bottom here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a consolidation here. That's a wave one. Then we've got another horizontal consolidation here. That's your two. And then we've got this horizontal up here. So that's a three. So a lot of times corrective waves go in three waves. Um, this could be still correcting. This could be a corrective bounce
Mm-hmm.
back up to here. And we swept liquidity. We swept liquidity here, so we're due for a pullback.
Right.
Absolutely. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. Let me share my screen over here. So this is the daily chart as well. And just with this structure right here, I'm thinking a trade would be like if I were to place a trade, I think I want to break this level here at automatic reaction on the daily at 41,444 and probably get like a little retest. Let's see if I can make this bigger. So I'm thinking like the safest bet would be let me see the follow through for the sellers. Let's see where they break down to. Try and get like a little pullback that doesn't come back above into the range. And I could
Yeah.
take like a sell somewhere around here and just, I'm thinking we could probably get back to VWAP, right? Or this automatic reaction on the weekly here at 30,000. So this is what I'm thinking. Now, if we do get like a pullback here, I'm looking for a rejection of this upper deviation on the VWAP band right there at 44,016. So I would look for like rejections here on a lower time frame. Let's see, 44,016. 1 second. Let's see on the 1 hour chart. That's kind of lining up with Camarilla R3 a little bit for this week. So if we do come back to like Camarilla R3 in this lower value, overlapping lower value relationship, I would want to take a short somewhere here.
What level is that?
43,803.
Okay. See it.
So that's what I'm thinking so far. It's either we break down 41,444 or we head back up to test Camarilla R3. And on this lower time frame, we're already breaking this this upper deviation band right here at 42,617. You can see we're getting a little buying coming in here again. Are we gonna retest that and fail? To me, that's a signal right there. Even before we get into this, get down to this automatic reaction level, if I get a retest here and continuation, like I could take a short somewhere here and put a stop. Like, let me just open this a little bit. Right, so if I could get a retest somewhere here that fails, I could do a trade like this just above this level here and probably try and get to the automatic reaction like here. I see that as like the immediate setup right now. If we get a retest here and fails or this candle closes, let's see how long. This candle closes in 30 minutes, right? If the candle closes somewhere, I don't know, maybe closer to this level, I could see I can see a short here.
So all signs are pointing to 41.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's my hypothesis right now. We got the buying coming in, so probably a little retracement to retest this candle. We broke the upper deviation. Probably get a little retest here and some follow through to the downside. And depending on where this candle closes, I guess I don't know, maybe a little short, small entry somewhere around here. Your stop would have to be a little bigger, but same kind of target. But I guess like the conservative thing is to wait for like a retest of this upper deviation band, but it depends on how price action is moving. Plus when the session opens in probably like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
yeah, we should see what new levels we have on the 5 minute and probably kind of play around with that for entries as well. Yeah, and that's it for me there, man.
Yeah, I see it. It's all signs are pointing to 41 at some point,
Yeah, yeah.
and then possibly lower.
Yep, we would have to see real aggressive buying that pushes above this wick. Because this level here, this is definite resistance here at 43,331. So if it gets aggressive and gets above Camarilla R3, then I would have to change my mind into be like, okay, like this is really accumulation and we're getting bullish right now. But as far as I'm seeing here, this is heavy resistance at this level at 43, 33, and probably more downside.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
happy if it comes back down because, I've been holding off on accumulating this, and
Right.
I'm really considering uh, throwing more money at these ETFs, but I want to see where the price kind of settles first. If it comes back down, which I'm assuming they're going to do,
Um,
that's when I want to start buying.
the ETFs came in
Yeah,
already. They came out.
yeah, yeah. They came out
Uh,
on I think it was Thursday or Friday.
what's the name of it?
So you've got several. There's four that I'm watching right now, kind of the four top ones. That let's see, the one that did the best was the grayscale one, and that's GBTC.
GBTC. All
Yeah,
right.
and that
Let
one
me
I
see.
think was if I'm not mistaken, that one was already in existence as like a futures ETF, and then they flipped it to a spot ETF. So the chart actually goes back further because it's been in existence longer, which is something kind of interesting. Um, yeah, GBTC, and then the next one was IBIT, which was the BlackRock um, ETF.
Let me just pull these up. All right. So let's see what the daily looks like. And again, we're up here at this upper deviation band with a reversal pattern.
Yeah,
So I'm
you really
thinking,
see it on the volume, huh?
huh?
The volume on those last two candles at the
Oh yeah,
peak, you can
look at
really
that.
see on the sell volume. And again, it takes institutional money to make a volume bar like that,
Yep.
as well as a candle bar like that or a candle pattern. Yeah, so there's GBTC, there's IBIT, there's the Fidelity one, which is FBTC, and then there's another one called HODL, which
Okay.
is the VanEck Bitcoin Trust, and those are the top four in terms of how much volume they did
Okay.
over the last few days.
Interesting, man. It actually came up on the monthly. It actually came up to Camarilla S6 and then failed right there.
Yeah. So they
It
spiked it.
actually,
They spiked the price.
yeah, because they actually on the monthly the floor pivots it actually came up to R4. Look at it right there.
Yeah.
Came up to R4. So yeah, I'm
And it
thinking
didn't break out.
downside,
So
man.
that's
Hmm?
an R4 reversal.
Yeah.
R4 extreme reversal.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking downside right now.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. All right, man. It was a great discussion. Well, we did like 2 hours right now. 2 hours and 10
Yeah,
minutes.
I think we covered a lot of ground. I learned so much from this, just
Yeah.
going over things. It's been really informative. So that's cool.
Yeah, man. It's good to discuss stuff, and because when you're only thinking in your own mind, it's like it's a one-way street. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah. But when you get to bounce off ideas off of someone, then you get to see different perspectives, and it gives you different ideas. You know what I'm saying?
I try to keep that in mind. I'm always like, you got to be open to what someone else is seeing.
Yeah.
But you got to be open to being wrong sometimes because, you get that other perspective and, like if I was closed-minded to what you're saying, I'm going to
Hmm.
miss it, you
Yeah.
know. And it just helps a lot.
Likewise, likewise. Because I
Yeah.
don't know much about Mando. What's the last one? Man, I keep forgetting.
Oh, the
Mando
Mando model,
Model,
that's
right? Yeah.
yeah, Mando Trader. I've been
Yeah.
following him now off and on for several years, but when I kind of dove into his videos, they're fantastic, and
Right.
they just I learned a lot of Fibonacci trading in the past, and I
Hmm.
was using it, but I learned it from a book, and I was using it in a higher time frame,
Hmm.
and a lot could happen inside the higher time frame. You
Yeah.
can have a lot of reversals and stuff, and I think one of the coolest things I learned from the Mando model is how to use the Fibonacci's on the lower time frame to
Right.
spot, not just the Fibonacci's, because I'm not just trading Fibonacci, I'm looking at the market structure.
Right.
And so learning like how to spot market structure shifts,
Right.
um, that's been huge. And then, another thing that I learned from it, I think I posted this in the video the other day, but like using the Fibonacci's on every pullback and as long as they stay above 79%,
Hmm.
it gives you a good spot to stay in. If you're
Right.
long,
Right. Right.
like just looking at your chart right now, if you ran a Fibonacci on every peak and every pullback,
Hmm.
you're not going to find one. You're not going to find one that's more than 79%. Until we get to the end of the run, and it
Right.
looks like
Let's
that
try
could
it
be
right
happening.
now.
It's about to
So
happen.
we're pulling. Where should I pull it from? From the top or from the
We'll
bottom?
come all the way to the bottom. So this very bottom candle on the left.
Right here?
Yeah, the very bottom one.
Right. Okay.
That would be your start point.
And we're going to where?
So actually, you're going to go a little further down. The very bottom candle on the left with that little wick to the top side.
Okay.
That's going to be your first bottom.
So we're stopping at the wick.
No, go all the way to the bottom of the candle.
Okay. 1 second.
Set that as your
Right. So that's coming down to. Wait. Hold on. All
no, I
right.
see
I
there's
think.
more actually. Yeah, there's actually more behind it, but that's fine. You can I would actually pull into that gap. I would take that little doji as your bottom. Now that I see that,
Right here.
bring it down. Yeah, right there, right there. So that's your
Okay.
bottom, and then
Hmm.
your next top. If you were trading this like on a 1 minute time frame, would be that next candle above the gap that has the little pink arrow
Right.
right there. And so if you measure that next pullback, what did that pull back to?
38%.
38%. Okay, so that's well within the safety range. And
for
then you could
for a
make
buy.
your next, yeah, or a hold. Let's say we got long at the bottom here
Okay.
and it pulled back to 38%. So now you're going to set your next stop and your next, 0 point at that pullback at the 38% pullback is now going to be the next bottom.
Okay. Right.
So you
So
can
you're
move your
saying
fibs up.
if we buy at the bottom here,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So your stop is okay. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So put it at that, whatever the low point is.
Well, right here.
I would actually go under the next blue one because that's kind of where the next run started. That's kind of the pullback.
So
Yeah,
do
right
you
there.
right there? Okay.
Mhm. And then now your top is going to be that next yellow candle above that gap with the pink arrow. Yeah,
Okay.
right there. That'll be your next top, and you can see there's a nice pullback on that move.
Right. Okay.
And so what is that? What did that pull us back to?
Um,
Oh, you need,
124.93.
I think you need to move your.
Oh, this needs to go to the top
Yeah,
of
yeah. There you go.
right here.
Yeah, wherever the wick is.
So are we using the blue wick or the yellow?
The yellow wick, whatever the highest wick is.
All right. Well, this one is actually higher, the one next
Okay,
to it,
cool, cool. And then what did that
and
pull back to?
61.8 and just above 50% right here. So this wick is just above 50%.
That's perfect. That's, if you wanted to add to position, you wanted to add long,
Yeah,
that would be a great spot. Or if you just wanted, so that becomes our next stop loss, right? Because we're
right.
holding, and you can move the fibs up again.
So your stop loss is always below 50%.
My maximum stop loss is going to be 79%, but
79.
usually a 79 happens at the beginning of a move. And so anything for me below 62 to 70 is
Mm-hmm.
really kind of 70% is kind of the danger zone. And the thing to remember is these can wick down into it.
Right.
The wicks will they'll freak you out, but in terms of the Fibonacci level itself, you're looking for the candle close. Now, in terms of
Okay.
trading it, I trade off the wicks, but
Yeah.
you know, I I hold off the candle closes, if that makes sense.
Right. So the 79% is this green line right here. So you're saying if we came up to this level from your buy at the bottom there and we topped out here, you would pull the fib up to this level. Anything below this green line, you're out.
Well, no, because I think you actually have it upside down.
Oh,
So yeah, if you flip your Fibonacci's the other way, um, and
so pull from
basically,
the top.
yeah, pull from the top and then go to wherever we started, which was that
Oh,
that
right
little
here.
blue candle.
Okay.
No, a little higher, because this was
Oh,
off the next move. Remember?
oh, right
There you go,
here.
right
Right.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
So now, what does that yellow candle pull back to? 618.
Yeah, it's basically the same kind of like above 50%. This is 50% right here, and this is 61% right here. So it
Okay.
wicked down to almost 50%.
Okay. So I'm looking. Maybe I steered you wrong. I think maybe you did have your fibs correct.
Okay.
Try just pulling it whatever your top.
So we're starting from here, right? From this blue one at the bottom right
Try it.
here
Yeah.
to
Try it.
the
See what
top, right?
happens. Yeah. Try
Okay.
it. Because what should happen is your fibs should line up. That looks right to me. It's a little hard to see because yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So it came back
50%.
right. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're still holding at that 50% level becomes our next stop loss.
Okay.
So you can
Okay.
move the bottom of your fib up to that.
Right. Oh, so now I'm seeing where you say like the 79%, which is this green line right here.
Yeah.
That's maximum stop.
Maximum stop. I'm not going to let it go past that. And if I'm being
Right.
careful, I might even stop it at 70% because, like I said, usually the 79% happens at the beginning of the run.
Okay.
And, you know, but if I'm way in profit and I just want to see if it breaks 79 or not, to
Hmm.
hold through it. But that's the end of the line for me for each of these moves.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I gotta kind of practice that a little bit.
Yeah. You got to train your eye to spot, where the actual high and low is.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a great trick for staying in. And when you have more time, play around with it, and you'll see that this run, if this top candle on the right breaks 79%, which it looks like it's about to, then that's a structure shift, and we're headed the other way.
Where should I
This
where
is,
should I pull it from right now if we're
I mean,
considering
if you
this?
just this last move, well, I guess I was looking at the last three candles, but yeah, where you are and your cursor was correct. That little bottom move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be your bottom to the wick. What are we at right now? Probably 50%, 62.
We came back down to
Yeah.
62.
Yeah, so I would watch that area, and if that 62 starts to break,
Hmm.
uh, that might be a structure shift happening right there. That's kind of where we would expect it to happen.
And that will open up the 79 right here. That's the green line.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it
And
breaks that 79, that's where I would start considering getting short. I might
okay.
wait for a pullback, but a pullback to the top level because at that point you flip your fibs the other way, and then you would look for a pullback to like 62%, 79% or whatever, and then go short.
All right, let me see here. So this you would pull it from here to where? The bottom of this candle?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like let's say that that's the last candle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then if it pulls back to 62 or 79 or whatever, and it fails, and look at where your I'm sorry, look at where your VWAP is. Uh,
Right.
what level is that? That's 38.
So it's just above 38, between 38 and 50.
Yeah. So it'd be awesome to get like a 50% retracement right there.
Right. So that's what you're saying when you get these I think you say it a certain way, like it's a 50% discount or something you call it.
Right.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Price is in premium right now because it's at the high. And then if you get a retracement, that's the discount, and then you get the bounce.
Okay.
Or in this case, we're thinking maybe it's going to flip.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
man.
stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm really hungry right now.
I'm
I
starving too.
got
I'm going to make some food.
Yeah, I gotta go get something to eat. So we did one. We're at 2 hours and 23 minutes. I don't know who's gonna watch
Wow.
our video, man, but it is what it is. I don't know if they're gonna
Awesome.
sit here for 2 hours and 23 minutes. Well, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll take it in chunks, right?
Yeah. All right, bro.
All right, man.
All right, let's do this
I'll
again
catch you.
sometime soon.
Yeah, I'll catch you at the open tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, later.
I'll see you then. Bye.
All right. All right, y'all. So it's Malak Shalomo. That was my discussion with my peer, my trading partner from Premier Tier Futures, and we were breaking down Bitcoin and just exchanging ideas of what we're looking at right now on the chart, where we think we're headed, stuff like that. So we actually got into this GBTC ETF. So that was kind of cool. That's the first time I opened one of these ETF charts for Bitcoin. So it's kind of reinforcing that Bitcoin might sell off at this point here. So this is the Bitcoin chart, right? We're breaking this upper deviation band, kind of looking like we're gonna sell to the downside. We're gonna move to the downside, and this GBTC daily chart is also suggesting like a reversal. So let's see what happens there. All right, y'all. It's Malak Shalomo. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed.